Hello to everyone attending the 2022 Angels in Adoption reception. I'm so glad to share just a few words with you. I'd like to recognize some of the great leaders gathered tonight. My friend Senator Mary Landrieu, the chair of the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Institute. Mary, we were so sad to hear of your father's recent passing. He was literally an icon. And my favorite story, if you all know, Mary's dad was the mayor of New Orleans. And my favorite story was still, in his later years when he would meet people in a grocery store or a hardware store, he was still calling Mary directly when she was in the U.S. Senate with her constituent concerns right from the scene. I also want to recognize Kate McLean, CCAI's fantastic executive director, and I want to thank Congressman Smith and Adderholt, my fellow Congressional Coalition on Adoption co-chairs on the House side. And of course, my dear friend, Senator Blunt. As you know, this is Senator Blunt's last Angels in Adoption reception before he retires at the end of the year. I don't think he's really going to retire. Let me make this clear. I know he's going to do other great things, but I could not have asked for a more dedicated, kind-hearted friend to chair this caucus with over the past several years. We've had fun, we've done good work, and I just so appreciate all that he's done. We're all here tonight because we share a belief that every kid deserves a loving home, a nurturing family, and a bright future. And each one of you has done so much to make that a reality. For more than 20 years, the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Institute has been working to ensure kids find loving families. And it's a true testament to your work that the Congressional Coalition on Adoption has become the largest bipartisan, bicameral caucus in Congress with almost 160 members. And it is inspiring how this issue brings people together from all political beliefs and backgrounds, united in our commitment to make families whole. So many families have come to my office for help navigating the adoption process, like the Norton family, St. Louis Park, Minnesota, who tried for 4 years to adopt 2 boys from Ethiopia, only to have the Ethiopian government halt all international adoptions. We worked tirelessly with the Nortons and with the U.S. Embassy to secure visas for the 2 boys. It took many months, but their story had a happy ending when they finally brought their sons home to Minnesota. I've seen this process up close. I know it isn't easy, and there has to be so much love in people's hearts to get through it. So to all the angels attending tonight's reception, thanks for what you do. Working together, I know we can help more families seeking to adopt. I'm glad to be your partner, working to help every child find a permanent, loving family. Enjoy the rest of the event. You deserve it.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the 2022 CCAI Angels in Adoption honorees that have traveled from their home states to be recognized for their contributions to children, to youth, and families as you gather here tonight in Washington, D.C. A special thank you to Marcy Bursack from St. Charles, Missouri for her work as both an adoptive mother, an author, and advocate, helping others navigate the adoption process from foster care. 23 years ago at a congressional press conference, the Adoption Caucus began recognizing individuals, families, and organizations in their states and districts in their commitment to family. Let me say also the Adoption Caucus is bipartisan, and it's the biggest caucus in the Congress. And throughout the years since the caucus was founded, this event has grown to be an important time for advocates who've adopted or experienced foster care, who've worked in the field as a professional, or adoptive or foster parents, or the organizations that support them coming together on behalf of children and their families. Abby and I were honorees at one of those early events, and over the years I've had the pleasure of working alongside my colleagues to introduce and reintroduce legislation such as the Home Act and the Adoption Tax Credit Refundability Act. It's also been a priority to maintain bipartisanship on these issues. Very proud to work with the CCAI, and Our caucus co-chairs, Representative Adderholt and Smith and Senator Klobuchar, and what we've done together to make changes and improvements in federal policy and programs. I also want to recognize for a moment the great leadership of Senators Mary Landrieu and Jim Inhofe for their dedicated involvement over the decades of life of this organization. It's because of people like all of you, your experiences and your stories that help inform the work we do in Congress. Nobody can tell your story better than you can tell your story, and I hope many of you have a chance to do that while you're in Washington. And while this will be my last Angels in Adoption event as a member of the Senate, as co-chair of the Adoption Caucus, I look forward to keeping up with the caucus, keeping up with CCAI and the work being done on these issues. It's been an honor to work with and for children and families around the world. Tonight we'll get a chance to meet other 2022 Angels honorees, their families and colleagues, young leaders, individuals working in the field, and other advocates who've used their influence and platforms to uplift adoption and the importance of supporting children and their families. I hope you'll take a moment to really celebrate the incredible work you've done together, and you have a wonderful time in our nation's capital.
Hello, I'm Adam Smith. I'm the congressman who represents the 9th District for the state of Washington. And I want to thank the Angels for Adoption for holding this reception and all of their work to promote and support adoption. As a member of the Adoption Caucus in Congress, this is an incredibly important issue. I am adopted myself, and I certainly have strong support for all the families who adopt and all the children who are adopted. It's incredibly important to give every child in the world a safe and secure home, and adoption is one of the crucial methods of making that happen. So I appreciate all of your support for that. I do want to, as always, pitch the Adoptee Citizenship Act, something that a lot of people are not aware of. But there are a number of people who were adopted, brought into the U.S. as babies, but never given full legal status. So when they turn 18, if their parents don't work with them to get them that legal status, they're undocumented. They're undocumented, and they literally have no place to go back home because the United States is their home. So we're trying to fix that law. A number of years ago, it was fixed, but it was not grandfathered. So anyone who was 18 at the time that law was passed and in this situation is still in the situation. It's something that needs to be fixed. People who are adopted into this country, who have known no other country, should be citizens of this country. So we're going to keep trying to pass that. Also, support for international adoption is crucial. I know my co-chairs on the Adoption Caucus, Senators Klobuchar and Blunt and Representative Adderholt, make that a huge priority to support international adoptions. Crucially important issue. I thank you for all of your support for adoption and for bringing attention to this critically important issue. Thank you very much.
Good evening. For the past 6 years, I've had the honor of being co-chair of the Congressional Coalition on Adoption Caucus. I joined this caucus because I believe in the importance of family, protecting the vulnerable, and ensuring that every child has a loving home. Today, I'm honored to be able to recognize and celebrate the 2022 Angels in Adoption honorees who share these same values. I've had the special opportunity to participate in this program and meet honorees, individuals and families who have gone above and beyond the call of duty to unite families in unique and meaningful ways. I've also had the privilege of meeting with advocates doing great work across the country who are dedicated to this cause as well. I've also met passionate leaders, stakeholders, individuals, and organizations through my participation in CCAI's 2020 Vision Program, a congressional program that brings members of Congress to experience the work being done by various local and national governments around the world as they innovate their systems that care for vulnerable children and families. Family-based care must continue to remain a top priority. There is still much work to be done to improve adoption and child welfare here in the United States. I want to emphasize what an honor it is to work with my colleagues, to address some of the challenges, and to listen closely to those who are directly impacted by them. This is a special opportunity to honor some of the successful adoption stories, meet the heroes of adoption, and celebrate unification of families across the United States and the world. Thank you all for being with us to recognize our angels and adoptions this year.